Oh, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about something that I believe is crucial to A, my development, but B, going to be something that you're going to need to know for the rest of your life. It changed my life, and I think it's a fundamental truth about reality itself. If I could tell you one thing, there's no shortage of immaturity, and I promise you, real authenticity too. Both of those things are tremendously lacking, and there was a lot of emotion revolving around this, and I really wanted to speak from that place, the most real place that I could speak from, especially today. I don't edit these things, that speak from the heart when I speak, and I think that's what actually makes it valuable, is that really you're not just looking for information, you're looking for integrated information, meaning like, what does it look like? How does it fit like a suit, you know? And truth be told, I realize one of the biggest issues we have nowadays is an authenticity issue, meaning that most people are fake. They just wear a mask, they go about their day-to-day, they do their things, and that's it. You know, they're locked in on tracks. And what really was coming to my attention was one of the biggest wake-up calls in your life is going to be betrayal. Now, where betrayal is going to take you is going to be rock bottom. Now, a lot of the time we have this, why is this happening to me? And the story of Monte Cristo I talk about a lot. The Count of Monte Cristo is an excellent film. Not only should you watch it, you should pause this video and go watch it. That's how good it is. And it's the fundamental reiteration of the Joseph story. And a lot of people like it. You know, I think it's probably going to be easier for you to watch the film than read the story, because that's like pulling teeth these days. I really wanted to talk to you about the importance of betrayal. And if you've been betrayed, it's going to take you one place, rock bottom. And I promise you this, if you're taken to rock bottom, you're also taken to the foundation by which human nature is birthed. Your understanding of humanity is going to be one to where you either make a decision in your life, I bring up others, or I put them down. I create or I destroy. In my life, there's no shortage of being cheated on, lied to, manipulated, or played. But I can tell you one thing, where there's betrayal, there's the birth of a hero. And not only the birth of a hero, the birth of a good man. And I promise you this much, when you begin to understand that this is the beginning of your journey, perhaps maybe when you have been hurt, or when you have been stabbed in the back or lied to, I just really want you to know what this really means for you and what it's calling. And so the Count of Monte Cristo story is a great one. You have a story of a tall, dark, handsome Edmond Dantès. He seems to have everything going for him, a promotion up in the charts, and a best friend who's with him on his journey, and a wonderful, beautiful girl that he's going to get married to. Now, of course, he's about as naive as a raccoon when it comes to this situation, because his best friend is jealous, envious. His number two at work wants his position at the job that he's in. And he still naively goes on about his life as the innocent, sweet Edmond Dantès. Of course, gets intermingled with, probably the wrong person to get intermingled with, Napoleon at the time. And a lot of those kind of politics can cost you a lot, especially if you aren't favored by others. Meaning, because you are favored, you're not going to be favored by others. And that's something you should definitely reconsider here, is that people's envy and jealousy has created far more destruction than people's willingness to just burn something down. And when you start realizing that human nature left unintegrated is also the equivalent of a rejection of goodness itself. Because if you leave human nature to its own vices, what ends up happening is a discreditation of what it is, and B, a destruction with itself with zero awareness. So, naive, wonderful, handsome Edmond Dantès, living his life. His friend, of course, from a rich family, to not only rich family, from a father who says you probably need to get a job and do these things. And they're like best of friends. They fight off bad guys, they sail into the unknown, they experience adventure, and as he comes back home to his wonderful fiancée, he naively overlooks the fact that his best friend has been hitting on her for the last 45 minutes. He eventually gets in prison due to the jealousy of his friend. He realizes that for the first time in his life, all of his good nature was being stepped on, ripped apart. His best friend betrays him, frames him for something that he didn't do, a murder that he didn't commit, fraud that never happened. He gets thrown into the bottom of a cellar. Ooh, rock bottom. Some people say it feels like you're never going to leave. You're going to be there for forever. So the warden locks him in and he says, "Get used to it. You're going to be here for a long time." Edmund grabs a stone from the prison wall and he starts engraving on the wall, "God will avenge me." You ever think about the kind of pain that you experience when the people you love most are the ones that stab you in the back, when you just present the things that you want in your life, and it's like they took those things that you presented to them and they shit on them and ripped them apart? You know the kind of pain that you experience when you're down there is because you experience it without humility and arrogance. And truth be told, we've read the story of Joseph, if you have. It's about pretty much every single one of his brothers betraying him for his vulnerability, about the things that he believes that he can achieve in his life. You know, what do you think happened to Edmund in this story? The exact same thing, and he's thrown into the cellar. And for 2 years, he's writing, God will avenge me. His heart is broken. The woman he loved believes he's dead. Maybe she moved on. His brain isn't just spiraling. He's thinking of every preconceived possible horror that could ever happen in his life. Because the last thing he's showing up for is himself. And you could see it. He's getting whipped into him. And you're like, this is a tragedy of tragedies. And for somebody who understands individuality is that your life tells a story. And if you're really paying attention to your life story, maybe these are the points in your life by which you come closest to you. And he's there at the bottom getting whipped for his birthday every year. And honestly, it looks like he's about to break. Resisting, trying to think that maybe something will change. He's like he's still holding on. Holding on to what? Well, the way that he sees the world, the way that he sees himself. He's holding on to everything dear about the pure, naive Edmond Dante. No. What's being born is going to be a man that saves the world, changes it, and actually has love this time. Real love, not boys' love. And with his heart broken, his body beaten, and his brain, you could still see he's holding on. As he's there in the cellar with his knees curled in the corner, the ground in front of him starts to break. And he can't believe what he's seeing. He thinks he's lost his mind, and he sees an old man come to the ground. The old man pops his head through the ground, and he goes, "Oh, I made 10 years the wrong turn." Richard Harris is an exceptional actor. And he looks at Edmond Dante and he goes, you know, I had 2 choices. One was to go here, and the other was freedom. I guess here I am. He's not freaking out. He's not in despair. The man's an old man. He only has like 5 years left. And Edmond Dantes, this is the exact thing, exactly for everybody that's at the bottom. Because if you're at the bottom, I promise you, you're going to feel just like Edmond Dante. You're going to be holding on to everything that you say you are. And you're going to be resisting the birth of the man that you wish you can become. And Edmond Dante is grabbing his hair and he's like, oh my God, what? You made the wrong turn? There's no way out of here. There's no way out of here. How am I going to get out? And by the way, he looks in the same cellar that he's been for the last 2 years, and it's just so much comedy in it. And he's like grabbing the bars. And Richard Harris brushes off the dirt. And he looked at him and he goes, do you have any other urgent appointments? And Edmund sits down like this, realizing for the first time in his life he might have to let go and become what is required of him. What does the old man tell him? It took me 10 years to get here. To you, it's going to take us another 10 years to get out of here, freedom itself. You know, the old man representing wisdom, representing the wisdom that the young man needs in order to become a man, and very similar to all things in life, even nature. You pass the flame on to the next generation. As he passes this, finally, Edmund, for the first time, was willing to let go. Well, what's the embodiment of letting go? Showing up for what there is. You're at the bottom. Why are you trying to leave? Any urgent appointments? Do you need to be somebody? Because you're convincing yourself this is all that you are, and right now you're experiencing every horror on planet Earth. Maybe you should open up to realizing being present and maybe letting go, realizing that there could be a potential salvation if you stop trying to run. And for the first time, he's embodying letting go. And he goes, do you know how to wield a sword? And he goes, a sword. And he teaches him. He picks up the sticks. What are you going to do when you're locked in? When you're at the bottom of a cellar? Well, you have all the time in the world. No urgent appointments. Really, there's an urgency that I think we believe we have when we're at the bottom, which is what? I need to be at the top. No. You need to start really loving the bottom to realize going to the top is a choice in support of everything that mattered at the bottom. And you're going to really find this heartbreaking. And in the story, spoiler alert, 13 years, he becomes literate, a swordsman, a scholar. He learns economy, money, wealth. I mean, talk about maturity. You're left with what there is. The man's changed. The man has changed. And often, as the viewers, we're almost mourning because what's happening in the real world is the political corruption that put him has spiraled even more. And the woman he loved was now married by his best friend who stabbed him in the back. Still, this is the process of a man learning what matters most. And here it goes in the story. 13 years go by. Now, not so young, naive Edmond Dante, very matured. Some would even say hurt, driven by revenge. The whole conversation between the old wise man and Edmund is maybe that one day he can let go of this revenge. As they're on their way out, the old man gets sick. The cave that they were building out collapses on him and kills him. You know, sometimes when you're in those moments in your life where you realize you've fallen into the present and you've showed up for what the present has to offer, and you've realized what mattered most were the people around you. And those people around you in those darkest states of your life were the ones that always mattered the most. And of course, you know, when you thought it couldn't get any worse, it gets worse. And the person he loves most, that he wanted to experience freedom with, died in the cellar as he runs out for his own freedom. And of course takes this leap of faith for the first time, which is an embodiment of him jumping off the cliff. And it's now the birth of his journey where he realizes all of this time that he spent, he knows how to not generate wealth. He knows how to play. He knows how to fight. He knows what he's fighting for, and he knows what drives him. And a lot of the time people say, don't let revenge or spite drive you. Don't let it be the soul drive. And when it's the soul drive, it corrupts you. The process of this betrayal that all of us experience is almost realizing that you need to be the good that you wish that you want to see in the world. And that's Gandhi. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't really integrate a lot of the modern stories that we have that allow us to interact with what that really means. So he grows to become a billionaire. And of course, his journey is not just a journey of revenge. It's actually a journey of forgiveness. And not just to the people that hurt him, but also to himself. A lot of the time we think that, you know, the revenge journey, finally getting that body, that money, the status, the things that are going to allow you to be recognized are what's going to set you free. And it's like, well, what's going to set you free is to realize that people can be redeemed and that also some people can't. The story of Joseph is a great segue from this. I don't want to spoil the whole movie because it's absolutely excellent. But when you're at the bottom is when you're made. The birth of the individual is when you realize you've been too busy trying to chase the top. You've never really considered what matters at the bottom. Now, if you want to know the realest people that you're ever going to meet in your life, they're going to be people that know the bottom like the back of their hand. And in fact, not only know the bottom, they go out of their way to go down to the basement of their penthouse loft and look at the foundation that allows that to stand every day. You know, the biggest insecurity that we have now in today's society is that you need to be seen as somebody. You need to be something. You need to be grand. You need to be great. Have you ever started thinking, maybe I need to be real? Because if I'm real, then I'm unique. And if I'm unique, then I could bring something of infinite value into this world. Start there. So, Joseph, in the pit for 13 years, with a dream, betrayed by all the people he loved, becomes the viceroy of Egypt and the man that saved the world at the time. You could even say the same about Edmond Dantès. He saved the world from the political corruption that put him in the cellar. What's really beautiful about the story of betrayal is it's also the story of forgiveness. Truth be told, when you realize how you need to see others different because of the horrors that they've done against you, it requires you to grow up and see yourself different. And by the way, when that happens, there's only one place and one place only that you can go towards goodness and excellence. If you have been betrayed, there is only one path for you, a betterment of yourself for the rest of your life, for as long as you live. You know, the Iron Man story is one that I also wanted to share too. Technically, this is a reiteration of a video that I did, but I wasn't really so connected to it. And Iron Man's one of my favorite characters, as something I grew up with. It shaped our culture, you know. After 2020, everything turned to you know, even our own film, because it was no longer based off the values of human betterment and improving of ourselves in relationship to our own personal journey. And, well, Tony Stark is about a very arrogant, egotistical man. All he cares about is himself. He continues to let his father's wounds be the things that dictate his life. And he has all of these gifts, but just seems to kind of use it for attention. Of course, he finds his hidden gift through his tragedy, being, of course, in a cave, rock bottom. We've heard the story. It's actually the birth of all individuals. It's the birth of greatness itself. It's actually the birth of who you are truly meant to be, is when you're at the rock bottom. And so before you ask yourself a question, why do I keep hitting rock bottom? What are you refusing to face about your life that you know that you need to let go of, that keeps showing you who you are, that you refuse to interact with? And by the way, you want to know something interesting about rock bottom? When you're there, you're left with all of the horrors and all of the people that have betrayed you. And for the first time, you realize that if you're not the one that wears the Iron Man suit, then other people will use that to burn the world down. So when you're taken to rock bottom, you're actually given a choice to be the hero, the man that chooses to do good, and for the first time chooses to be born as they are. I've resisted this process a lot in my life, and I've been rock bottom before, and I could tell you one thing. You know what really helped me at rock bottom? Stop trying to be anywhere else. I have no other urgent appointments. Stop trying to be someone. Stop trying to chase the top. Maybe start befriending the demons that hang out there and facing the parts of yourself that you need to face. And perhaps maybe all of the pain and wounds that you have, or all of the things that you need to reflect in yourself that require you to see you differently, that require you to see others differently. And then maybe, just maybe, you can do the right thing for once. Not everybody has this story. But if you're listening to this, then it's for you. It's the one choice that you have in your life to do better. To do better for you. To do better because goodness is real. And in order to be real, you need to be found at the bottom. The Iron Man story is really impressive because he realizes, if I found these gifts about me, and if I exist, there's going to be somebody else who exists with the exact same capacity with just a little less intention. What am I going to do? He says the most powerful words in the whole film. It's the words that actually changed the film industry for a few years. He realizes that if I'm not the one in the suit that's going to do good, that means there's going to be another one in the exact same suit who's going to try to burn the world down with it. This technology is safe with me. I have been hurt and stabbed in the back. But I believe that human beings can be good. Life is good. And they ask him, who's this vigilante in the iron suit? And he looks back at the crowd. And he goes, I'm Iron Man. The screen goes black. The crowd goes wild. You get chills down your spine and you don't even know why. Here's the reason why you should know why. For the first time in his life, he realized that I'm going to forever challenge myself, seek growth, and continue to be the best version of myself for the rest of my life. And as you continue to watch the series of films, he's constantly improving his suits. And by the way, the most beautiful part is his character is evolving as he is improving his craft. For the first time in his life, he realized that what heavy machinery he operates as, and his mistakes don't define him. He continues to improve himself through those mistakes, but he realizes the responsibility of his life because of the wounds that have been created. He realizes that he'll help others. And then it starts from I am Iron Man and ends with I am Iron Man. And this time being able to fully represent what Iron Man is, somebody who's willing to give himself up for the betterment of humanity. And this time, not because he didn't have the wounds, but because he has all of the wounds, and this time has a deeper relationship with them. The story of betrayal takes you one place, rock bottom. And if there's one place that you want to be real, and there's one place that you need to spend more time in, is rock bottom. So much in relationships, a lot of my content goes into that. I start really understanding how you try to build off your insecurities, you'll be brought back down to face your insecurities, but this time without any willingness to do so. So you're going to feel like you fell down into the lion's den. You weren't somebody that walked into there with faith. Well, that's the story of Daniel, another biblical story. But to be in the lion's den and to step into it voluntarily means that you're willing to interact with the parts of yourself that you need to learn how to love. I integrate a lot of the biblical stories into what I do because these biblical stories have birthed human consciousness and allowed us to have peaceful voluntary exchange up to this point. I really want to make something clear to every single one of you guys. I'm fighting for a purpose. And this purpose is a God-given purpose that every single one of you guys have as human beings. And without it, your life not only doesn't mean anything, it could be stolen from right under your nose to realize how much it means and how you've lost everything that matters. I found it so beautiful that the birth of the individuals and a lot of these biblical stories, and it's the one thing that we are being robbed of right now, is that, hey, this is an opportunity to rise up as individuals, to live your life as you are, to be strong, to be collective, to be together under the basis that we are all unique. That is what keeps us so universal and connected to each other. We look on screen to the people that we admire the most and we see ourselves in them. There's a reason for that. It's because truthfully, being unique is being universal. And in these stories, one of the ones that made me realize how important it is to constantly go down to the bottom is somebody that really believes that we're not here to try to run away from our humanity. The thing that we are birthed into is life itself. And there's a very powerful biblical story of Jacob. He has his first vision after running away from his duality, Esau. And as he runs off into the wilderness, he needs to rest, and he finds a place where he could lay down, and he sets up a few of these rocks, and he lays his head in between it. And he has this dream. And in this dream, with his head lying behind, by the way, you have to remember from the perspective of the dream, he's on his side. He sees angels going up and going down. And then you're like, well, aren't angels up, going down? And it's like, you want to know something really beautiful about the process of improvement and the process of us becoming the most divine, true, authentic version of ourselves? It starts from the bottom going up, and then from up going back down. That's truthfully when you realize that all the things that you seek have always been at the bottom. All of the things that really allow you to see who you are, you have to voluntarily come down to. And of course, he wakes up and he realizes this place is a holy place. And it's like, well, what's the holiest thing that there can be? An individual, a man made in the divine image. That is going to be the birth of something that could create the evolution of mankind, that could also evolve the spirit beyond its own potential through the human experience. You want to create your life. Stop trying to run to peaks that you have nothing to offer in. Realize that everything that you have to offer is here. Rock bottom. It's where you actually find what's unique about you. It's where you start learning to connect to others. It's where your embrace at bottom isn't leave, it's stay. And let me be there with you. As you unzip your suit of how you need to be seen, and you step into the most real thing that you could ever experience, the pit, where you can really see what's true about you. It's cold, it's dark. But when you know that you are birthed there, you wouldn't be running from it. I've worked with so many clients at this point that I realized the people that keep falling back into rock bottom are the ones that keep trying to run from it because they need to be something. And I'll just tell you these last words. Do you have any other urgent appointments?